Welcome everybody to the Space Water Podcast. It's the Vernal Equinox exclusive. Glad you guys are joining me tonight. I'm gonna wait for some people to join up while we're in the chat room. Of course, you guys can support me in the super chat. You guys can support me at patreon.com/the mystical spiral. And of course, our website, themysticalspiralstore.com, where we got all new products up. Each day I put up new products, so we'll pull up the website as well while we wait for some people to join up. Sorry we were a little bit behind schedule tonight, but we had some technical difficulties, and then I know Rob, my buddy, typical skeptic, Rob was live, so I was waiting till his show was almost over because I know we have a lot of cross people listening to our show. So let me let me also pull up the how do I do this now? Welcome everybody. I'm just trying to figure something out with my oh, that's why this thing. Here we go. I'm getting it ready. I'm gonna share screen for you guys in a second. What's up, Sally? Sally Fourth Alone. Welcome in the chat room. Let me just share screen. Here we go. We're gonna be going deep tonight, everybody. Welcome, everybody. This is the Vernal Equinox show, and we got all new products up on the website here at the mysticalspiralstore.com as well. You guys can check it out. Should be on the screen in a second. There might be a little bit of a delay. Here we go. Just put this one up today too. The Gaia Grounder. This is facet grade natural citrine gemstone. Really high quality natural citrine gemstone in a pretty big piece. And it's a jewelry collector's grade, facet grade gemstone of natural citrine, which is quite rare. Wrapped in the royal cubit copper coil. Really amazing gemstone of citrine from Brazil. Really incredible piece. I also have natural citrine towers that are not gemstones. They're like triple A grade towers, but this one is an actual facet grade gemstone. So it's really high level and rare. But we got all new products up. This one's over a pound moss agate skull that we just did. Incredible. This is from a moss agate geode. Look at the drusies in there. Really amazing piece. And it's over a pound. Over a pound. So guys, check that out at the mysticalspiralstore.com. We have something for everybody. Incredible. My heel shields, specifically designed for EMF protection, harmonic evolutionary altruistic light. That's heel. This is the collector's grade elite noble shungite, large piece wrapped in the royal cubit copper coil, antique copper coil, really incredible piece. So you guys can get all there's if you guys want shungite, we have even some that are $20 pendants if you guys want. So there's all price ranges. Some of the ones that I really highly recommend is right here. You got collector's grade Ethiopian opal gemstone. I mean, the size of this piece and the clarity. This retail is worth over $300. This piece of opal, and its clarity is next level, and it's wrapped in the royal cubic copper coil. We got it on sale now. Actually, you can even use typical skeptic 12 Rob's code. If you got 12% off, that's active. So if you want to use typical skeptic 12, we also have my Patreon code. If you guys are my Patreon members, there's still a Patreon code out there. And we always have sales up on the website, and I include free necklace material with every amulet and a free gift, and shipping is included in the price unless you're from outside the United States. But we got all new products up. Some of them even charge at the North and ignited at the North Salem, New York Balance Rock during winter solstice. This being the Vernal Equinox show, we're gonna go deep tonight. I'm gonna release some groundbreaking information straight and wisdom straight from my book that you guys have never been shared anywhere in the world before, but right here tonight. And guys, remember, this is one of the key points of the year where living light is sent into our planetary system, and it comes throughout the from our cosmic ocean of light, right? And there, our universe and our solar system, everything works in cycles, right? And during these times of the year, it's when information is sent from our star, our sun, and all of the stars that are in alignments and are communicating with our planetary system and our solar system, right? Everything is linked. So we're getting all of these different informations and personalities that are coming from all the different stars within the universe that also communicate with our star. So don't think our sun is working just by itself. Our sun is also communicating with other suns and stars out there within the universe, within our galaxy, within the multiverse, if you want to even say, right? They're all connected, right? And we're in, and there's proof of it in science, right? You literally have plasma trails that go from one star system to another, and it's like it's all linked through strings, branches of light, right? It all branches out, nebulas and galaxies and star systems. They're all linked together through branches of light, right? And in ancient times, this time of the year was very important as well. Aldebaran was the star of vernal equinox, right? It was one of the four royal stars, the four guardian stars of the Persians. It was the watcher of the east, and it was called the Eye of God, right? It's the star of stars. It's the Eye of Taurus, the bull, right? And Aldebaran was that watcher of the east of the vernal equinox. And in in mysticism, in Italian mysticism, and all sorts of mysticism, you have the circle, right? The ritual circle, and it's opened up by having the north, the south, and the east and the west watchers of the gates, right? And that Aldebaran is that east watcher of the vernal equinox, and he's the one that is they take a certain posture to open up the do the rites of calling where they would call out to the star and open up the gate of the vernal equinox, right? And this is a powerful information, and it happens on all the equinoxes and solstices, right? This is one of the the fundamentals and basics of working with star magic, if you want to say, or being in tune with the stars, right? And they would call it, even in astrology, they have different sigils that go along, like I mean, not in mysticism, they have different sigils that are associated with these stars, right? Especially Aldebaran. Usually, it's it's uh it's portrayed in a sigil like an X with nodes at each end of the X. That's usually how it's portrayed in some sigils during this time of year. But I mean, that goes back to Persians as well, right? So the Persian four royal stars is the Aldebaran and Regulus and Antares and Fomalhaut. These are the four watchers of the gates, right? These are the four times a year where living light is sent into our planet. Things start to change, right? And various things can happen, and various energies can be amplified, and various things can enter and leave our planet during these times, right? The light is being sent right from our sun into our magnetosphere. And these are not just, as I'm saying, light, these are like what's streaming from the sun is not just information, but living entities, right? All sorts of living entities, and these things can take the shape of and form of humans as well. So, and we have it happening not just in ancient times, but as well as today. I mean, this the same thing that happened in ancient times is still happening today. We just have different ways of looking at things, right? So, uh, we're going to take a deep look into some of the ancient writings tonight and how we have lost some of the true meanings of how this universe is literally filled with the voice of God. The light of the universe is the Holy Spirit. It is the voice of God, the speaking. You know, when God speaks, he speaks through the light, he speaks through the winds of heaven, right? So, you know, fortunately, science keeps the solar wind as solar wind, but the winds of heaven, the stellar winds, the winds that are coming from stars and suns, they carry the voice of God. They carry the Holy Spirit, and they also carry uh, uh, all sorts of living entities, right? And all sorts of species of life throughout the universe that mythology calls angels and all sorts of different beings. And we're going to get into the Vedic tonight. We're going to get into different things tonight that you guys are going to get your mind blown and hear it for the first time anywhere. All right, shout out to the chat room. What's up, TMS Copper and Gemstones? That's my wife in the chat room right there. That's my other account. You guys can subscribe to that, my business account. And that's my moderator, Mika, in the chat room. And what's up, Baron Von Taco Cat? We're gonna go deep tonight. So I'm just waiting for the chat room to build up a little bit before we really get started. You guys can see my website, themysticalspiralstore.com. I also do readings. If you guys go up into my menu, shout out to my wife because she's made my website. My website has a lot of free information as well. If you guys look up right on my website, you guys go into more. There's a whole bunch of free information up here. My colleagues, I just got to add Laird Scranton on the colleagues. I forgot to add Laird because he's one of my reoccurring guests and colleagues that he's going to be writing the forward to my book as well. So there's a lot of free information up on the website, and of course, there's a lot of sub menus as well. Like if you want to just go to specific like crystal balls, crystal clusters, free forms right here. The shop has it all, but if you want specific things right here, there's specific drop down menus, of course, too. Right? Even like if you're looking for crystal specimens or something like that, you just want like specimens. We have specimens available, all sorts of things available. So um, there's multiple drop down menus for things. So there's an extensive website, whatever you guys are looking for, even if you want just the copper products. This is all products that have the copper. I do have a few. I do have the one big harmonizer available. If you guys want, this is a giant harmonizer. It comes with the crystal skull. Um, and there's all sorts of cool stuff. And we put stuff up every day up on the website. We also do custom orders. Don't forget, guys, we do custom orders. And if you guys want like even a human-sized crystal skull, we do custom orders as well. Like I'll show you. This is right here an example of something you guys can get custom made. Something big like this, I have to do custom order because the material costs so much, and we have to prearrange it ahead of time. I can't just make these and just leave them in stock because they cost a lot. So this is orange calcite, and this is 15 pounds. This bad boy, orange calcite, and this is bigger than human size right here. Next level. So you guys can get this or even uh smaller size skulls, whatever size skull you want, and all sorts of carvings. And I bring them to the dolmen. Yeah, I actually do sun yoga. I spoke at the Universal Peace Conference in India for the sun yogi Uma Sankar. He's been on my Space Water podcast several times. And he was on my old radio show on Truth Frequency Radio too, when Truth Frequency Radio was running. And he had me speak at his conference 2 years in a row. He had me for his conference, and so I've been doing sun yoga about on and off for about 11 years. And you are looking at the sun, but with your eyes rolled up, right? So just the whites of your eyes are showing, and your eyes are sort of rolled up and looking towards the center. So you're not looking directly at it with your pupils. Your eyes are kind of rolled up, and you're looking towards the sun. So I guess you could say, in a way, I mean, you can look at the sun, but it can screw your eyes up. Like it'll get burned into your vision. You'll be seeing those dots everywhere, right? And you'll be thinking there's like plasma beings walking around right in front of you all over the planet, you know? Yeah, yeah, yeah. But I've seen real plasma orbs, and I have them on video right on my YouTube. You guys can check them out. Um, in my playlist, UFO sightings or whatever in my playlist. You guys can see that. But we just put some really cool products up on the website. This one was imprinted at the North Salem, New York Balance Rock during winter solstice. This is the best of the best fluorite, a super fluorite right here, carved by the Mystical Spiral store. Really cool. This one has a lot of rainbow in it as well in some spots. Really, really high level fluorite. And it's one of a kind because it was imprinted during solstice and ignited during the winter solstice solar alignment at North Salem, New York Balance Rock, the dolmen. And for those that don't know what I'm talking about, this is what I'm talking about, the dolmen, where there's a solar alignment at North Salem, New York. This spot. This is where I go to charge and imprint those and I've seen plasma balls at this spot as well. Even orbs, right? Even white orbs, right? They happen especially at twilight. I even have it. I'll show you. I got pictures on my site of that. So where is it? Where's the ones at night? Some I think I passed it. It's up here somewhere. But I have the photos from at night. And you guys can go through my website. All this information is up there for you guys to check out at your leisure. And here we go. Wait, I think it's up here somewhere. Did I miss it? I must have missed it. Maybe I don't have those pictures where it's. Yeah, I could have sworn they were on here. They were on my old site. I don't know if we put them over when they transferred. Hold on, let me see. I know they're here. I must have passed over it. Here, there it is. So you guys can see this happens at twilight. See the orbs right here? Look at all those orbs. Now, what I'm saying is most likely This is done from the piezoelectric effect. Now, this massive stone right here is red granite, right? Red granite has high levels of quartz crystal in it. That's piezoelectric, right? And this spot is directly on top of running water. And that running water creates natural shocks and vibrations in the earth, which makes the quartz naturally rub together. And then when you have a piezoelectric material like that, and different times like sunrise and sunset, when there's electron surge, right? There's an electron surge that happens at dawn and at dusk, and the change of the light, right? When the light rises in the morning, there's a surge of electrons, especially with granite. It's got magnetite in it, it's got quartz in it, magnetism, electricity going on at the same time, running water beneath it where it's constantly generating shocks and vibrations. So that piezoelectric light's going to emit from the stone from these electron surge times. So when we go into twilight, you'll see these plasma balls, this cold light emerge, right? But there's different plasma balls out there that are a reddish fire that can morph. These are coming literally from my work and my understanding. They come into our planet from the magnetosphere around our planet, directly sent here from the sun and happening through magnetic reconnection events in the magnetosphere. From these magnetic reconnection events, they enter into our atmosphere as auroras or some types of plasma balls or plasmoid, right? And they can literally turn into beings like humans. They are an advanced life form that is a plasma entity that can push themselves into matter. I've seen it. People, if you're just new to my work and to what I've been sharing for over a decade, you might have heard of the guy Chris Bledsoe, right? He's being deceived. He's having probably real experiences, but understand you have to test these beings of light because most of these creatures that are interfacing with humans do not have our best interest in mind, right? And I had a similar experience of Chris Bledsoe in 2000 between 2001 and 2003 when I was living in Long Beach, California on the 33rd parallel. And you guys know my story for those 2.5 years. I lived as a street musician busking. I had a little apartment I was living in Long Beach, California, right on Fourth and Cedar downtown, and I was busking with my guitar, just me and my guitar, which means like for money on the street playing guitar and singing, freestyling, and I was pretty good. I was in some pretty high level bands in my time as well. You guys can see some of my work out there up on YouTube and things like that. But for a while I just went out on my own, and I had to just go where the world. I had to explore and change my life a little bit. So I went across the country for several reasons. And while I was out there, I had some interesting experiences. One, there was a, a ball of light that became a young woman that was golden bronze and said her name was Beth. And I talked about this 10, 12 years ago, right? In the same park that I had another experience, right? The very same park. And uh, in that same park, I was shown like PTSD visions of cataclysmic events that are going to transpire on this planet. Now, I do believe that it's possible these events might take place, but during that same time period, I was being lured by trickster beings. I there was several type of entities that were trying to get me to go to like you guys have heard my story, right? So you have to test these beings and you have to tell them no, right? There's going to be certain things that they offer you as well, right? And whether it's information or money or fame or whatever, but there's going to be various things that are that you should be able to test them with to see if they are really from God, if you want to say, right? Because there are beings out there that are trying to help us, right? And 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 I do believe that there are angels that speak through humans on our planet, right? But I don't believe that real angels are here walking around that are trying to help humans. Because if a real angel or being of light was on this planet, we would cower. It would be an immense force. So there probably are certain types of beings that are taking the form of humans that are lesser in the hierarchy of species of plasma or species of light that exist within our universe, right? Because we're a much denser form. We're encased in this physical matter, but we are a being of light. Our soul is a plasma entity, but we are in a lower state, a denser existence, right? So I do believe that there are beings that enter into this plane of existence for certain reasons, right? And it's talked about all over mythology and the Bible. And we are just misinterpreting a lot of it. And we've lost a lot of the knowledge. So for us to be able to get the knowledge of what like in how the adepts spoke, we have to realize that science and spirituality have to be linked together. You have to use like they can't be separate. It's not a cult to think that way, right? It's that was before there was science. It was fused together in a different way, and that's where we went wrong, right? Because we're keeping things at the completely our spirituality and the knowledge of the stars and space and every because we're in space as well. Like Earth is part of space, right? We're part of the universe. Everything that's part of the universe is just kept like in a science aspect, but we don't realize that everything that is streaming from the sun and the stars, everything that's streaming, everything that's linked together in this system is directly related to who we are, how we get here, and where we're going when we pass on. And it's all mapped out. Our ancestors already figured out what science is desperately trying to understand today, right? And it's remarkably scientifically grounded when you start looking at some of the interpretations through the lens and the models that I'm presenting, because it's the more we learn in plasma physics, astrophysics, heliophysics, magnetospheric physics in 2026, 2025, and as we go on, is only more proving without a doubt what they were discussing. Even like when they're talking about the net of Indra, which is a Vedic idea, but later goes on to even Buddhist. Uh, they're talking about the plasma universe. Like the net of Indra is like completely talking about that. And we'll get into that in a little while, but let me see what you guys are talking about. Yeah, I make completely protective vectors. You guys just saw my website. Um, I have my inner light activators. I got my heal shields. Um, the copper wire that I make, these are spiral energy devices, right? They're copper tensor coils wrapped around gemstones and high level crystals. And I also have, you know, I make copper rings, the twisted copper rings as well. But you guys, when you got like right here, this is the citrine one that I just made today that you see here. This is a really big gemstone. The retail value of this gemstone of citrine is over $300. It's a high level, what they call in jewelry making, a facet grade Like you could take this to a jeweler. This is an uncut raw gemstone, big one of natural citrine. And natural citrine gemstones are quite rare. And I have a royal cubit over a little over 40 inches of twisted copper wrapped around there. It's a it's the one of the ultimate grounders as well, and talisman for EMF protection and a psychic activator. Well, you don't want you want a clockwise wrap around using a tensor. I understand what you're saying about a toroidal, but when they make those toroidal coppers that's wrapped around within a resin, that resin is made with harmful chemicals. And then people wear that. I just like having the copper and the gemstone. But yeah, it's taken me many years to develop my own style, and other people have actually I've inspired them to make similar devices as well. Um, so I got pretty much everything, and it's taken us over 10 years to be able to provide the carvings and the copper work all ourselves. So this one I highly recommend. Really high level fire quartz with the hematite inclusions, the red hematite inclusions. I have one handmade, hand carved tower as well, large tower of this you guys can get, and there's one left of that. But I got pretty much any kind of crystal and gemstone you're looking for. I really recommend some of the opals and the petrified woods, and even this one malachite one. This is really, really high grade malachite specimen wrapped in the antique copper coil. Really amazing, and it's on sale. This is a lifelong companion right here, and that's including shipping, a free gift. It comes with a free Herkimer diamond and a necklace material. So really great deal. So let's get into the show, everybody. We're gonna get into it tonight. We're gonna be talking about one of the messengers of the cosmos, the coronal mass ejection. Why is that doing that right now? I don't know why the green screen's showing like that all of a sudden. It's weird. Let me see if I can fix that. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah, I don't know why it's doing that. Never used to do that. I mean, where's the fade thing on this shit? There we go. That's better? Yeah, that's better. All right. I got it. Well, thank you guys in the chat room. Thank you guys. We're going to get deep tonight. We're going to be talking about the Rig Veda. We're going to be going cross-cultural. And one of the things we're going to be discussing is the coronal mass ejection that we've talked about before, but how they talk about this in Hindu, right? The golden lasso of the gods, wielded by Varuna, as you see here in the picture. Varuna wielding the golden lasso, right? That golden lasso of Varuna. We're going to be talking about this tonight, right? Really important show because we're going to be talking about the light, the living liquid sent from the sun, the Holy Spirit, the Word of God, the voice of God being sent, right? And how there's all sorts of mythologies that we're misunderstanding, and what the Holy Spirit is talked about even in the Bible, right? And how we need to interpret a lot of these ancient writings and symbolisms in a whole new way and understand that these are delivery systems for suns to send not just intelligences, but souls, all sorts of beings, and information from stars to planetary systems, from like our sun to planetary systems, and how literally, uh, when you have the mythological imagery that's bridging and discussing in in these mythological stories, they're telling us in these solar mythologies how the sun's influence on our solar system, and they're giving it to us in an archetypal language. And these ancient cultures, they observe the highly active post ice age sky, and there were solar phenomenon going on. The world was being restarted with light, and the light was bringing all sorts of new life on the planet, right? And it's vividly described. So one of the in our last show that I was talking that I got into the apis, right, in Vedic, and being the living waters, right, and the apum napat. I mentioned how being the son of the being born of the waters, a fire born of the waters, like the Vedic Agni, right? Well, they also have these divine beings in the Vedas as the Apsaras, right? Has anybody in the chat room ever heard of who the Apsaras are? It's spelled Apsaras, Apsaras. These are angelic beings of light. Angelic beings of light, right? So we're going to be getting into some of the nymphs in mythology, and some of the apsaras there, and some of the related to plasma phenomena. But the Vedic apsaras are similar to the Etruscan Lhasa, right? They've and I'm correctly going to show you guys that they're identified as ethereal light bearing beings, right? This is a plasma entity, right? These are beings of light that are shape shifting dancers of the sky, right? In Vedic tradition, the Apsaras are the ones who dwell in the celestial waters. They move through the sky and through the universe. And in plasma terms, these literally are the those coherent plasma structures that arise from the plasma ocean, the solar wind, the interstellar medium, right? This is the plasma ocean, right? You can the solar wind and the interstellar medium, that is the literally the whole universe is in an ocean of plasma, right? They are apsaras. They are these fluid-like dancers, these shape-shifting entities that are moving along magnetic field lines, much like even sometimes the different plasma structures in our own magnetosphere, right, happen as well, right? Even the seraphim and the cherubim. The seraphim in the Bible are described as the fiery ones, right? The burning ones. This is almost the most perfect metaphorical description of a plasma plume, or some highly ionized incandescent filament like that we have in our solar corona, and they fly and move even within the magnetosphere, right? And even the Ophanim in the Bible. These, like even with Ezekiel, these are the biblical description as having wheels within wheels and being covered in eyes, right? This is the same description as you have in Genesis 3:24, or in the Bell and the Dragon story, with the twisting and turning flame that can see everything, right? Even in Vedic, you have Varuna. Varuna is the lord of the solar waters, and he wields the pasha, right? He wields the pasha right here. That's the pasha, that golden lasso or golden noose, right? And this golden noose can see through the celestial waters and can see all through the clouds, through the winds, through the waters, and nothing can escape its sight. It's twisting and turning every which way, right? That is a perfect description of a CME, like the Vajra of Indra, right? What's up, Ned from Wales? I see you. I see you in the chat room, right? That we'll get into that as well, right? And they have in Greek, right? The nymphs are these nature spirits, but they're celestial spirits as well, right? These are described as nature or woodland spirits, but this is of the cosmos that they're really associated with. They're associated with the celestial waters and vitality, right? And there's a scene in Greek mythology where the newborn Phobos or Phobos, right? This is the a solar this is solar light. This is like Helios. This is a sun god, right? The newborn uh, Phobos, right? He's There's a scene where he's washed by these nymphs, and they wrap him in these glowing white garments, right? This is incredible description of the solar wind and how it's wrapped around our earth, right? It wraps around, they even describe it as this white garment that wraps around the morning mist, right? That nurtures the sun, basically, right? And it's literally talking about uh, our how the plasmasphere or the inner magnetosphere, even washing them, it's a region of cool, dense plasma that literally clothes the earth like a garment. It protects it and interacts it with the solar wind, right? It's really incredible. Welcome, Derpster. Neil Price, 6262. And we have Poseidon, right? Poseidon with his chariot and his steeds, his golden steeds. This is all the same symbolism. Poseidon's the lord of the waters, right? Poseidon is not just the sea, he's the cosmic plasma ocean. He's the solar wind and the cosmic sea. It's not just the seas on Earth, right? When he rides his chariot, this chariot is described just like a magnetic bubble or a CME moving through our heliosphere, right? The streaming, he's got these horses that are pulling his chariot, and they have these streaming hair that are these golden cords that are streaming, right? The golden hair streaming, the streaming of his hair of his steeds is a literal description of interplanetary magnetic field lines that are stretching out behind a speeding CME, a chariot, a wheel turning chariot, glowing as the solar wind flows over them, right? This is incredible. His chariot is literally he's the lord of the plasma ocean with his magnetic field line golden hairs coming out, right? It's stunning how evocative and their metaphorical descriptions are. And I'm bridging the plasma physics with these ancient celestial water myths. And basically, the mythology was already showing that the interplanetary medium is not an empty space, but it's a fluid, conductive, cosmic plasma ocean. And these metaphors align beautifully with modern heliophysics, magnetospheric physics, and heliophysics all together. And it shows that the ancient world, they had already figured things out about the universe that we are desperately trying to rediscover today. And they had already elegantly presented to us in mythology so we can remember it, right? In the Vedas, the Apsaras are literally moving in the waters, and they're associated with cosmic dancing. Some of these Apsara beings, nobody can resist their spellbound charm and their glow, right? They're literally probably these star forming regions, these nebulas of plasma, right? Where they're cosmic dancers that are nymphs that are literally like are enticing sages and things like that, right? They're luminous phenomena within the plasma. They represent these dynamic fluctuations, these dancers, right? And the Gandharvas, right? These solar beings are always associated with these apsaras that move through the waters and dance in the waters, right? And in my model, these represent those dynamic fluctuations and those luminous phenomena that arise from the plasma, the fire that arises from the waters, right? Like the Apam Napat, born of the waters, like Agni, the fire god. He's born of the waters. He's a fire that's literally born of the celestial waters, right? And the Apsaras, they are shapeshifters of light. They represent those plasma waves, like the Alphan waves, that dance through the magnetosphere and the atmosphere. They create these angelic visual auroras and all these light displays, right? And then we have when we're talking about that white robe that I mentioned in Greek, that's repeated in Vedic as well. A white robe without arms, these priests that wrap around these garments, they talk about it in Vedic as well, right? And in physics, that area that they're describing is the magnetosheath, right? It's a region between the bow shock and the magnetopause, and it's literally characterized by a turbulent, heated plasma that cloaks our Earth, right? And it's exactly describing it, right? And that pasha that Varuna wields, that's the Ankh of Egypt, right? The same thing that you see here, right? That's being passed down, the arms of the sun. That's the same thing that Varuna wields or Ganesha, right? It's the coronal mass ejection. And when we have, right, even the, this, I'll pull up specific verses so you guys can even see what I'm talking about in the Rig Veda. And it'll blow your guys' mind. And even how they have the idea of Indra's net, right? Indra's net is a profound metaphor of our plasma ocean. And they take the Vedic idea and they even bring it over into Buddhism. It's a big, huge part of Buddhism, the Mahayana Buddhism, right? And they have specifically what's called the Avadamasaka Sutra, and this is like describing an interconnectedness, and all of this like an interconnected universe with little jewels as these glowing nodes, right? I mean, this is incredible here, right? It's describing a literal infinite, multi-dimensional web with a multifaceted jewel at each intersection. And each and every jewel reflects other jewels. And all of those reflections contain the reflections of the other jewels. And, and it's like an infinite cosmic web, right? And this is incredible. That concept of Indra's net is a plasma ocean. It highlights our universe as being this connectedness, living, sentient ocean, right? And the net, I mean, you look into modern astrophysics, it suggests our universe is woven together by a cosmic web. And you can even look at it as it's a network of dark matter and plasma, right? And it's these are the strands of Indra's net that connect all the jewels, all the stars and suns and nebulas and galaxies and everything, right? Interplanetary, everything, right? So the jewels are individual plasma entities and species of beings, right? They mapped out the universe. Yes, each jewel is an individual consciousness, a celestial body, right? The jewel represents uh, a localized node within the cosmic web, each jewel being a localized node, right? And it's really incredible. It's a unique system that's all interconnected, not separate, right? And you even see that there's these reflections of the jewels. There's data energy and transfer going on. These these reflections, they represent how each and every particle of plasma is constantly interacting with all the others, exciting each other, getting drawn to what excites one another, right? The data, the light, right? The all the electromagnetic radiation is living. It's one area of space is being is being received and transformed and retransmitted by every other particle. And then they were talking about this in Vedic and in Buddhism, thousands of years before we knew about it. And plasma, this what they call the fourth state of matter, it doesn't behave as individual particles. It behaves as a collective, cohesive whole. I'm not making this up. I'm just connecting the dots for you guys because I have the language of the adept in my blood, and I have devoted my whole life to uncovering the truth. And I had certain experiences and have seen some shit, and it made me focus. This is the real disclosure that we need. All that word salad everybody else is saying is just keeping people preoccupied. And it was given directly by beings that I'm describing. These beings that are beings of light, but are here to deceive us and keep us spiritually preoccupied so they can rule over us as gods. And we can't ascend higher to them. They're giving us powerful information, but we're being using it in the wrong aspect, right? Abominations of what it really means. And when you use something of power the wrong way, it creates abominations, right? So we're 90 freaking 8% of the people in the community, in the spiritual, metaphysical community, alternative community, or truth community, are being deceived. They are probably a lot of them are some of them are lying just outright. Some of them are having real experiences, but being deceived by those experiences. And they're not testing these spirits, these beings of light. And you test them with the name of Christ. You test them with the name of Christ. You can test them in other ways as well, but they're taking it at face value, and they're going with it, right? And the most vulnerable are the ones that are usually picked out first. The ones that are the most easily fooled and vulnerable and weak. These are all the ones that are talking about I these this like that they have all the knowledge of all these weird stargates and all that. This don't listen to all that stuff. Some of those people are very nice people. I'm not saying anything badly about them, but they're being deceived. Disclosure is not a business, right? It's not a business, right? This is the kind of disclosure we need. We have a natural stargate around our planet, our magnetosphere. And all living planetary systems that have life on these planetary systems have to have a magnetosphere that's in harmony with with its star, like ours is, right? Has to. For life to exist, there has to be a harmony between the sun, the magnetosphere, and the planetary system. And they mapped out all the universe. They mapped out a lot of what we're desperately trying to find out. It's really incredible. When we hear about Indra, you know, Indra like penetrating Vitra, or Tiamat and Marduk, or Bel versus the dragon, or there's countless stories. Ra versus Apophis. All these stories are talking about the daily battle between the sun and the magnetosphere. The daily battle, and how and it starts every day. This cosmic struggle between the sun and the magnetosphere, right? And they talk about the Holy Spirit flame in all of the Vedic writings, the fire within the waters, right? The Apam Napat in Vedic is the son of the waters. He is the fire in the waters, the living plasma, or the hidden energy within the solar ocean, the electric fire within the Apis. The Apis is the celestial ocean, Apas in Vedic, right? And they have the Apsaras that I mentioned. These are beings born, or the Apam Napat, born of the waters, right? And you have the being Agni, this cosmic sun fire entity, a solar deity. One of the ancient Vedic gods is Agni, right? And check out how cool this is. Agni is described as entering the waters, shining in them, and turning the waters into a nectar of life. He's the golden hero of fire that emerges from the waters, right? The Rig Veda 7:10. He is the messenger between the sun and earth, right? Do you understand how incredible that is? He's this living fire that emerges from the waters, and he's a messenger between the sun and earth. Wow. That is such a way for mythology to show you advanced answers about how the universe works, how the sun sends our living cosmic fire to our planet that creates life, sustains life, evolves life, and ultimately dissolves life and rebirths life anew in a new form. And how ultimately the cosmic light is connected to the spinal current and the spiritual vision. When we get flooded on the equinox with new light, these are the Vedic rivers speaking, right? This is spiritual vision coming to us as well. We're being purified, and we're receiving new spiritual visions from the light, right? This is the light of the universe literally communicating with humanity. It's connected to the flow of the light right to our spines, right to our pineal glands. And in Vedic, they had a river that directly did this called the Saraswati, right? Swati. Now, check out how amazing this is, right? The Saraswati is one of these main Vedic rivers or streams that are not just coming from the celestial cosmic cosmos, but they're also interfacing with the streams within our body, the electricity, the flow, the blood, the light connected to and within our body. And when we emit the biophotons, everything, right? So Saraswati represents the flow of the celestial waters and also the flow of knowledge that awakens within the human spirit, right? It awakens through the body. It brings what they call in Vedic tapas, T-A-P-A-S. It's the heat, the inner energetic transformation, which acts as new spiritual vision. This light spirals up your spine and hits the back of your brainstem and floods your mind with new spiritual vision. All right. And we have the Rig Veda, if you guys want to pull it up, Rig Veda 7, verse 49. Rig Veda 7:49. It describes the waters as celestial and moving and bright and purifying. And Indra's thunderbolt, the Vajra. This is a magnetic reconnection, coronal mass ejection, a solar flare. Indra digs the path, right? He literally digs the path for the celestial waters and it opens up channels, right? And he's the bull or the thunderer of the sun. And his Vajra, his thunderbolt, it breaks the obstruction of Vitra. And Vitra is the magnetotail, literally the one that steals the light, the cattle of Indra, right? It's talked about cross-cultural, and it's talking about Vitra's a coiled serpent in the darkness that coils around Earth, right? And he steals the light. That's talking about the magnetotail and how on the night side it stretches out. It pulls the light into the magnetotail, and then it literally gets pierced by the thunderbolt and creates auroras. It releases the rivers, the seven main regions. The seven rivers are the seven main regions in the magnetosphere that flow along the magnetic field lines, right? It's incredible. And these solar plasma waters, they flow towards Earth. It's magnetic confinement, it's magnetic reconnection, and the reconnection point opening up and releasing the waters. And it's talked about in the Ra versus Apophis story. It's talked about in the Tiamat versus Marduk story. It's talked about in the Indra versus Vitra story. It's talked about Bel versus the dragon. It's talked about in many different cultures, many different cultures, even in Ugaritic with Mot and Anath, right? Mot is the M-O-T, Mot, not the Egyptian M-A-A-T, Mot. There's a Ugaritic god called M-O-T, Mot, and that's one of the children of El and Asherah, and the they had 70 children: Baal, Mot, Anath, uh, Shapash. There was a whole bunch of them. Uh, uh, and they had 70 in all, 70 children and El and Asherah, so it's 72 in all. And that 72 number, I wrote a whole thesis on it. You know, and that's one of the key numbers of creation. So you'll have 72 sages of Confucius, 72 old men of the synagogue. You got 72 Goetia demons. You got, because we move 71 degree every 72 years. The wobble and the precession of the equinoxes and everything else, right? So that 72 is one of the key numbers of creation. It's a solar number, right? And it's uh it's really powerfully used. So when you have all these different gods making set a number of 72, these are all the different cosmic forces that come together to bring creation and to bring harmony and to bring fertility and death and evolution and creation and sustenance, everything all together that has to do with life emerging onto planetary systems from the cosmos, right? And the plasma warriors, they in Vedic, they're goddesses. The goddesses are not just myths, right? They are dynamic behaviors of our living plasma universe. And you got different specific Vedic goddesses that embody these flowing lights, these flowing waters, and how they connect right to us, right? And this being the equinox, it's one of the most powerful times of the year. This is the time of the flow of information and energy, right? And in the Rig Veda, the Saraswati is both a river and a goddess of wisdom. right? And this in physics is perfectly lines up with plasma physics because when you have a celestial water goddess that is a goddess both of celestial rivers and she's a goddess of wisdom, right? She's literally representing the flow of the solar wind, and she's the mother of streams in Vedic. She represents that steady state plasma that carries that IMF, that interplanetary magnetic field to Earth, right? And she's the Shushma Nadi, they call it, the central spinal channel, right? When the waters, they the plasma is like literally connected to the prana, right? We breathe in and we take in the light, right? It comes through us like a channel, and it brings spiritual vision, inspired thought, right? And this is mentioned all over the Vedas, right? All over, right? And you have this creation sun god Savitar, Savitr, Savitar, and the feminine version of that is Savitri, right? And they're the radiant, the solar impulse, this radiant delivery system of the sun, right? And then this is perfectly described, right? She's the streaming light that unfolds the darkness, as they talk. And in plasma terms, this is that ionized process where the sun's radiation literally creates the ionosphere. She unfolds the darkness. She literally unfolds the darkness, right? And she's the stimulator. She awakens the third eye in the spine, right? She converts that raw light that comes to our planet to us, right? And then you have another goddess called Aditi. She's that plasma field, right? The infinite. She's the mother of all Adityas, the mother of all solar deities, the mother of all suns. She's that primordial plasma, the cosmic sea that Varuna rules over. And Varuna is the lord of the solar waters, the lord of the waters. And Varuna is the one that wields that lasso of the gods, the noose of the gods, the golden coronal mass ejection loop. And I'm modeling these goddesses of Vedic as active agents of transformation that come from the light. And they are the bridge between the sun, who's the source of the Holy Spirit, the fire, and how it interfaces with the human nervous system and the human brain and spine and everything, right? The bright waters of the universe that interact with the Lord of the waters. Right? All of this, even in the Bible, Jesus Christ and God, he rides on the winds of heaven. He comes with the clouds of heaven. It's described in the same way, right? That soma juice, that is a metaphor for the liquid light, the liquid living light. Or you can look at it as the condensed plasma that nourishes the gods and the human the human system. Really incredible stuff, right? Now Varuna, he's the one. Where's that picture I had? Varuna is right here. That's depicted wielding the golden, the golden lasso, the golden noose of the gods, right? And like like I showed you, that's the golden noose, right? The coronal loop coming from the sun. And I have other pictures that I could get out in a minute, but that Varuna is, I mean, we could get into specific verses too, but let's get into a little bit more with the Agni that I got into because and I've talked about the Apis last show, but I want to get more into Agni because he's born of the waters, right? And I want to go into a scientifically sound direction so you guys can see that it's the mythology is not just plasma physics. It's much more than that, right? The plasma physics is just the science description of it. But the Rig Veda, specifically in its descriptions of cosmic waters, they provide a rich metaphor that describes our plasma dominated universe and how it's alive and living, right? And the Apis is literally a cosmic plasma field, and it's scientifically accurate and totally correct to model Apis as cosmic waters as they describe it in the Vedas as plasma. I mean, it's science. It's completely accurate, right? You could talk to any scientist right here. The way they describe these waters of celestial waters is it's plasma, right? In Rig Veda 2, verse 35, 3 through 8 is where we have the Apam the pot right there. That describes the Apam the pot as shining, pure, golden, standing in the highest place of the heavens. And this fits perfectly the description of a highly energetic, conductive plasma medium. And he's the shining, pure son of the waters. And Agni, this fire deity, he literally is representing being born of these apis or from these waters. And it suggests that Agni, the, the plasma being, is generated from the energetic field, the waters, the apis, which covers the entire universe. And that's scientifically accurate. And it even says in the verse, all the worlds are like branches of him. It's describing how the branches of light, of fire, of plasma, that is all interconnected. I mean, they could literally interpret it as magnetic field lines or solar wind streams, plasma branches emanating from a central stellar source like Agni, right? There's many ways you can interpret it. Even the the biggest structure in our universe is a branch of light, like uh, the Corona Borealis Hercules Great Wall. That's the biggest structure in our universe. And it's actually like dendrites, of big branches of light. That's how it's all connected. And I think really incredible how in the verses they even describe it's arguably one of the most accurate descriptions of a high energy magnetic reconnection event within a plasma field. They talk about the Alpin the pot as being uh, clothed in lightning, and the Rig Veda 2 verse Rig Veda 2:35, 2.35. He's clothed in lightning. He's a fire that resides in water, but he doesn't need wood or fuel to burn, right? He he's perfectly that idea that they're describing. It's describing perfectly the idea of a self-sustaining electric discharge or even a magnetospheric plasma current, right? This is a fire that resides in a watery substance but doesn't need wood or fuel or anything like that to ignite or burn, right? It's really incredible. And some of the writings, the apis is even like a cloud or a vapor, and it's even lightning, right? They're describing the different transitions of the plasma from when it leaves the sun to when it comes into our earth, and then it even comes in as lightning sometimes, right? And as auroras and different times. They have the stages of it, right? And in some transport, you know, he's the grandson of the fi- of the fire and or the son of the fire, right? There's a hierarchy of energy that they describe, energy transport that they're describing, and it's really incredible. In Rig Veda 7 verse 49, 1 and 2, they talk about the heavenly waters specifically. It mentions waters which come from heaven, celestial. right? Versus ones that are on Earth, right? And this clearly maps to our solar wind, our interstellar medium, and how it impacts Earth's ionosphere and gives us earthly waters, right? And they have all of it mapped out, even the different regions of it mapped out. And it's really, really incredible, everybody. Really incredible. And Agni is famously triple born in the heavens. He's triple born, right? He's born in the heavens, he's born in the atmosphere, and he's born on Earth. And this really specifically is mapping out directly the three scales of plasma in heliophysics. You got the plasma that are born in the heavens, the plasmas that is born in the atmosphere, and plasmas that are born on Earth, right? And then Agni takes that triple status. He's the fire god in all of those three zones. He isn't just fire. He is a charge carrier of a current that connects different domains, and he's a messenger that is a priestly messenger between the heavens and earth. And he has the branches. These branches are like Birkeland currents, right? All the worlds are like branches of him. I mean, this is a dead ringer for the filamentary structure of our universe and its filamentary plasma light structure, right? And the reference is in Rig Veda 2, verse 35, 8, 35.8. 2, Rig Veda 2.35.8. All the worlds are like branches of him. And it's saying, literally, the plasma doesn't spread out evenly. It forms these rope like tree structures. These branches are the magnetic field lines or the current filaments, right, that connect galaxies and stars. And the son of the waters that's born, the fire, is one of those central nodes of a galactic scale circuit, right? Really cool, really amazing description they had, right? And it's not me making it up. It's right there. It's right there. It can't mean anything else. It can't mean anything else. It's incredible. And I'm glad to share this with you guys because this is one of the first times people are hearing this kind of stuff anywhere on Earth. And uh that 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 coronal mass ejection, that's called the Pasha, right? Now you have an Egyptian goddess that comes right from that, the lion goddess called the Pasht, right? And she's described as having the angry solar light flashing from her eyes. I mean, if that's not talking about solar flares or coronal mass ejections, I don't know what is. And that goddess is another form of Sekhmet or Bast or Pash, Pascht, comes right from the Pasha of the Hindu Pasha, right? And it's the lightning that flashes from the sun, right? And whether it's the healing transformational light that comes from the mother goddess or it's the fierce solar flares that are light flashing from the eyes of the goddess, it depends on the situation. So most of these goddesses are goddesses of transformation and goddesses of healing and also goddesses of destruction, right? And they can bring the solar storm, right? And they're the sun, the flashing solar flares are literally associated with most of these gods and deities. And it's one they carry out in mythology, all these different beings of light, they carry out the principles and laws and the different structures that maintain cosmic order in the universe. And when these laws are broken, they tend to mend the broken link in the chain, the broken branch in the tree of light, the plasma tree of universal light, right? It's all over. So you have that posh deity that definitely arises from that same term, right? It's you have all of these different goddesses of the plasma waters, right? So you got Usha, in Vedic, right? She's the god, literally the goddess of the dawn. She's the flow of light that comes to the bring the new sun of the dawn, and she brings the shining herds, right? And she releases all the truths that's hidden in the darkness. And she's that active streaming front of the solar wind, the light that first hits our sun side magnetosphere, right? Then they have the goddess Sindhu, Sindhu. She's the river of solar wind, right? She's described as the celestial Indus. She's described as the roaring, swift moving stream, and she cuts through the atmosphere, right? And these goddesses are literally associated with celestial waters and arise from these celestial waters, like Saraswati, like the god, the water stream, right? And yeah, it's really incredible. It's really incredible. And like Varuna that I showed at the beginning, he's one of the most powerful, and he's the lord of the waters, right? The water, and we have the nymphs. We have I mentioned the birth of Phobos earlier with the nymphs and the Apsaras. I mean, you got the Greek. You got so many different terms in Greek that we could get in. We'll do a future show just on Greek mythology. But Varuna, he wielded that pasha, that golden lasso. And this is that twisting, turning flame that we see all over mythology and uh, all over the Bible, everywhere. So, I'll pull out a few other things that you guys can see because I showed you guys the pasha, but we have next show we're going to talk about the Apophis and how it's related to the magnetic field lines that are coiled within our magnetosphere. And you have Isis and Nephesis, literally the day and night side of the magnetosphere with the coiled magnetic field lines inside. We're going to get into that as well in another show. But yeah, when you got, the especially Agni, he's like really, really incredible, right? And there's something with Varuna that we could get into as well with the different verses. I mean, it's the most vivid, the most vivid descriptions and with precise accuracy. I mean, it's incredible. In the Rig Veda, Varuna is the lord of celestial oceans and cosmic waters, right? And that's the most powerful metaphor for plasma. It's the fundamental fluid that fills the vastness of space, right? And you can look up the Rig Veda 121 122 that talk about, and then in Rig Veda 8 41 8 they have the secret ocean, right? And I describe this secret ocean as the solar wind in my book, right? And this they describe the text, the Rig Veda describes Varuna as a hidden ocean who climbs passing beyond the heavens, right? This is Rig Veda 141 and 147, right? And that talks about the solar wind, this invisible hidden stream of charged particles that literally flows continuously from the sun through the heliosphere, right? And you have uh Varuna, like I said, he wields that pasha, but that rope-like golden lasso structure. It's the magnetic flux ropes of a coronal mass ejection that literally binds a massive ejection of solar plasma as it's hurled into space. And that's exactly how they describe the pasha. It lassos souls and pulls them into the celestial waters. It removes evil from the earth by lassoing them, right? And even in the verse in Rig Veda 7:87:1, he this Varuna with his pasha, I mean, he prepares a path for the sun, and he sets free the waters of the rivers in the firmament. It's literally described like that. And that's describing the rivers of plasma that goes into the magnetosphere and into the magnetotail. Let me just plug in my had to plug in my laptop real quick. That's good now. It's really incredible, right? And I could probably pull up the Rig Veda verses as well to show you, but I'm mentioning them so you guys can even pull them up if you guys want to see them, the actual verses where they're talking about it. But this is not just these different rivers of the afterlife, even. I mean, these are our light body at the end of our life. We got for us to ascend, from us to transform into something beyond what we are now. They have it mapped out in ancient writings that you had to go through these series of gates that were rivers of light, and you had to avoid these like magnetic reconnection events and all these and they describe the regions within the magnetosphere, and it's mapped out in Vedic, it's mapped out in Greek, right? And you can literally look at the five Greek underworld rivers, right? When we're talking about underworld, we're talking about around the world, under and over and around the world. This is not beneath our earth. This is around our earth, right? That's the underworld. It's the night side of the magnetosphere and the regions that stretch out. It's a long, long world in there of light, plasma, and magnetic fields. When you have, listen, our magnetosphere, let me try to explain this to you guys. Essentially, our magnetosphere is what CERN is, a powerful magnetic field that they introduce plasmas into. And when you do that, it opens up doorways. It's a whirling vortex of gates. Do you realize that? Our magnetosphere is literally essentially like CERN, like a fucking collider. It's not smashing particles together in that same way, but it's the same idea as a powerful magnetic field that we're introducing powerful currents and plasmas into, right? And there's dynamic regions in there that is vividly described in it's so cool. It's really so cool. And if you give me the chance to explain to you not just the mythology, but the terminology in science and plasma physics, it truly is groundbreaking. It takes a little bit of knowledge of both, but I'm trying to break it down where everybody can understand it. But the Greek, they have five main underworld rivers that the soul must encounter: the river Styx, the river Acheron, the river Lethe, which is oblivion, the river Coctus, the river Felgathon, and then in the later ones they have the river Mnemosyne as well, the river of memory. But that's more with the Orpheus tablets, which I've got into before. But this are metaphors for the night side's magnetosphere's distinct regions. It's extremely fitting, perfect, representing these different zones, these different energies or states. They have the state of oblivion that and this, and then you have the state of fiery torment, the state of eternal oath. All these different fiery things that they encounter. Right, the river Styx is a river of hate. Right, it's a river of oath, right? This could actually be representing our plasma pause region in the magnetosphere. This is a sharp boundary where solar wind plasma meets the Earth's magnetic field line, and it's strict. It's defining. It's a defining line, like an unbreakable oath, as they describe. with the river Styx, and it's between inner cold plasma and outer hot plasma, and there's a fine line there. It's a sharp
Mm.
boundary, right? And uh, Greek mythology, it lines up with all of that, these different gates, right? And then you have the river of Acheron, this this river of sorrow and river of woe that they describe. And this could be our ring current, right? This is a region where we have these energetic ions that cause magnetic storms. It's a woeful disruption of our magnetosphere, right? Really incredible. And then they have that river of forgetfulness or oblivion, the river of Lethe, where particles are forgotten and lost in the chaos of the auroras, where they enter into that deepest night side, that fading memory boundary, right? And then they have that river of fire, that Felgathon river, right? That's the plasma sheet, the tail lobe, that intense fiery current region where you have all these auroras and the chaos that goes on in there, right? And then you have that river of lamentation and wailing, also described with the lamentations of Isis and Nephthys with their chorus and chants that they do, right? They have the river of Coctus, this river of lamentation and wailing, right? This is no doubt where the polar cusps or the auroral torus ovals where particles stream in. They create these whales of light and sound, radio emissions, all of this. This is a place of restless energy and sound. This is the place of river of lamentation and wailing, the Coctus River. Right? This is all mapped out in Greek, all mapped out in Vedic, right? Right? You have these primary rivers of the Greek underworld, the Styx, the Acheron, Lethe, Coctus, right? All of these. That Styx, that's that hateful river that forms the principal boundary between worlds, the living and the dead, right? That's that boundary in the magnetosphere where souls go. And then Acheron, it's that river of woe. That's where Charon, the ferryman, he traditionally conveys souls across that with his ferry. What do you think that's talking about? That's not primitive. That's that's describing the streams within our magnetosphere where a light body must cross into. And they need to avoid certain rivers like the river of Lethe, the river of forgetfulness or oblivion, where souls of the dead drink and forget their mortal lives before reincarnation. And then they have that Cactus River where that icy cold river of wailing. I mean, that's a perfect description of the region in our magnetosphere, the night side, right? And in when you have the in later with the especially in the Orphic tablets and the Orphic belief systems, in Orpheus and the Thracian chronicles, right? They have the 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 river of Mnemosyne. I wrote a song about this, right? The Lake of Memory. This appears in some of the later Greek mythologies and the Orphic tablets, the gold funerary tablets that we find in Thuri and Petalia and some of the southern Italy Greek colonies, right? These are souls that are seeking a better afterlife, and they're instructed to avoid certain afterlife rivers, right? And they're instructed to avoid the river Lethe of oblivion and instead drink from the lake of Mnemosyne, the spring of memory, to remember their divine origin and return into the sun. Drinking from, they're snapping back into the sun. Literally, you have coronal mass ejections, these loops that enter into our magnetosphere, and then they explode, create auroras, and snap back into the sun. Some of those magnetic field lines, right? Souls are instructed to go towards those magnetic reconnection events and ride the cords back into the sun, the solar barge, right? These are instructions to the afterlife, my people. At the moment of death, we need to go towards the North Polar region. And there's specific ways to travel to certain regions. They have instructions of the afterlife. Now, the question is, are we meant to have this information? That's another question, right? This, of course, was only for the priesthoods and adepts. Most people that would hear what I'm talking about would not even would think I'm crazy. What is he talking about? Right? But this is some of the most advanced knowledge you can find out there. And I could back it up with scientific and mythological evidence. And opposite the river of Lethe or forgetfulness, right? You have that river of Mnemosyne, of memory. These are dynamic regions of our magnetosphere. There's no doubt, and they talk about that night side of our magnetosphere. That is the underworld. That's where our magnetic field lines are stretched out and they store vast amounts of solar wind energy before reconnecting, especially during substorms that create auroras. And this is a storage area. And the Kordaluski clouds are over there, and they're like lakes of memory. They store information, and they store where energy and magnetic information are held. And the reconnection event could be the even drinking or the subsequent even the journey or release of the energy, right? And the day side, that's that's incredible. I mean, they describe both of it, you know. And even the Kordaluski clouds can be considered a lake of memory, right? They're actually a cosmic plasma dust that are located at our L4 and L5 Lagrange points between the sun and I mean between the Earth and the Moon system, right? And they're at the outer edge of our magnetosphere, and that's a powerful region, and I I think it could be considered a lake of memory as well, right? Because the clouds function as these natural collection points. They trap cosmic dust particles, and they form and they form these regions like of memory of storage, right? And these particles they come from like interplanetary dust clouds, and it's a place where things gets you know stable, but they're not permanently stationary. So they're getting supplied with new dust and losing old dust, and they create this balance. It's a region that remembers and it has memory, and it's incredible. It's alive. We have a living boundary. We have a living shield, a divine living shield around our planet, right? Divine living shield. Our magnetosphere is doorways, right? And it's a powerful, just like I said, it's like similar to like a CERN, right? It's a powerful magnetic field where you have plasmas and stuff introduced and massive things happen. Magnetic reconnection events are powerful events. And these are how the jinn are created and enter into our planet, these beings of light. They are formed from magnetic reconnection events from smokeless fire, right? Really incredible. Really incredible. Yeah, Varuna is that god of the solar plasma waters, one of the oldest gods that wield the coronal mass ejection loop. Really cool. And Varuna is he's one of the coolest gods. You got a lot of them are have been forgotten from the Vedic, those gods. Like even Yama, different gods, tend to be forgotten and new ones come in, but some of the oldest gods have the and especially the Rig Veda especially has the most iconic descriptions. Yes, the Akashic records is the lifeblood of the universe, and the magnetosphere would be an Akashic record around our planet. But the living plasma universe is the Akashic records. It's the lifeblood of the universe. It's what's interconnecting everything. I would say that is the Akasha, you know. That's where that word comes from, you know. Yeah, definitely. I would say so. I would say you're right with that. Yeah. Don't forget, people, you can support me right here in the super chat. Also, check out the mysticalspiralstore.com. We got some of the most groundbreaking devices and information you could find on there. I make spiral energy devices out of royal cubic copper coils with gemstones and different types of crystals and piezoelectric material. We also have carvings, specimens, everything right at the Mystical Spiral store. For those that are just joining me, let me show you guys the website. Love that talisman right there. But you guys, we have everything on the website here. You guys can get just made this. This is Dolman ignited too at the North Salem, New York Balance Rock, and this is over 1 pound moss agate geode skull. Really high quality. Look at the drusies in there. Little geo. This is from a geode moss agate. Really high quality, and it's 1 pound, 0.4 ounces. So over 16 ounces. Really nice piece here. Hand carved right here by the Mystical Spiral store. And we got, I love this piece of fluorite as well. Look at that. This one's got some good rainbow in it as well. Imprinted at the dolmen, ignited at the dolmen, and really, really triple A grade quality. And this new, this is my favorite, the natural citrine gemstone. Oh my God, this is amazing. Huge gemstone of citrine. That's an asset because that piece of citrine is worth over $300. And you got some amazing opals. You got some amazing everything on here, everybody. So check it out. Some really good pieces, some great deals on here as well. The inner light activator. Look at this bad boy. Only $77 for this shit, too. Look at that. It's got rainbow in it. Oh man, this thing is amazing. Crystal ball with the rainbow. Powerful. I even have ones that are smaller in size if you guys are looking for a lesser price one. But you got all price ranges on here. Amazing pieces. You can get readings as well. I have readings available, even Italian tarot readings. Where's the readings? Reading right here. I even got the same day tarot readings, email readings, and they're pretty high level and highly detailed. So you guys can get that as well. Internet is being slow right now for some reason. There we go. Yeah, look, you guys can get, I highly recommend this. 12 readings, one per month, $600. That's pretty damn good. You get 12 readings for 600, and um you also you get an amulet in the mail, and you can also use the 12% off typical skeptic 12 to get a discount with that as well. And we got Italian tarot, $44. You can do bi-weekly and get single readings, all different reading available here. So much cool stuff. And the list, I mean, we got endless items. You guys, endless. There's hundreds and hundreds of items up on the store. You guys can find hundreds and hundreds of items. We got vast inventory. I also do. Oh, you got a $10 off coupon code too. We have if you guys want it. We also do custom orders as well. Oh, this is amazing. The Vogel wand, it's on sale too. I still have it on sale. The Rutil Vogel wand, custom made Vogel wand. Look at that. Really amazing. Look at the rutile in there as well. Really high level Vogel wand right there. We got so many cool things, so many cool items. Damn, I can't believe nobody picked this one up yet. That ruby, this one, $39. This one's UV reactive too. That's really cool. Amulets. This is ruby. Really cool. All right, who's with me in the chat room? Just waking up. Let me see who's in the chat room. Oh, we got the $10 off coupon code up in the chat room right here if you guys want it. The North, what's up, Stevie DeStephanie? Joe, Size, Jazzy Junk, the Akashic Records. Yep, I answered you. Who we got? Neil Price, 6262. Very intriguing discovery. Thank you, brother. Good to see you as well, Karen Cobley, 1164. Who else wants shout outs? Claudette. What's up, Claudette? Neil Price, Wolf Shield Fox, Stu Baka. What's up, Stu Baka? Yeah, like I was saying earlier, I had a very similar experience 22 years ago as that guy, what's his name, Chris Bledsoe said. Very similar experience. And then I was shown some horrific cataclysmic things as well in a vision that I was given. So I don't necessarily think it's angels that are out for our benefit because at that time I also was being I think trying to be deceived by demonic forces, and they were trying to get me to go and use my abilities for their purposes and feed off me. And thank God I had the mindset to say no, and I attribute to my years in competitive sports and combat sports as giving me a strong mind that even though I had one foot on, one foot in one world and one foot in another world at the time, and I could have gone either way when I was at, my late teens, early 20s. Thank God that I had that that mind to question things and and to say no, right? And to test these beings. I knew enough to test them. And yeah, I do think he's being deceived. And from what I know of his story, I don't know very much, but I think he had lost one of his children, his son or something like that. He was very vulnerable. He was a preacher beforehand, right? These are people that demonic forces want to convert the most. They're the most susceptible to a spiritual vision. They're a man of God, right? A preacher, right? Who's gone through a traumatic. He's looking for a sign. He's looking for meaning, and by God, they found him, right? By God, they did, and they will fool you. You can't take it at face value, right? And these these plasma orbs, these beings of light, they enter into our world from events that happen within our magnetosphere. I'm almost certain this is one of the ways they enter into our world. And we need to re translate many of the things that we've been misinterpreting for hundreds, if not thousands of years. And unfortunately, it won't just be, it can't, just me alone cannot do this. We have to have many people that are like-minded, that are trying to, you know, bring back who we really are as a species and what we're supposed to be doing as a collective species. And spiritually, we've been chasing our tails. We've been given technologies to keep us spiritually preoccupied. And most of the community is talking about nonsense. All right. Like, how many people want to make videos so they can make money off of talking about UFOs or Blue Bunny or whatever the frig they want to bring up, whatever's in the headlines. And they're yap, 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 so they can get clicks and views and blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I do this basically for free. I don't really make money off of YouTube. I think I made $700 for the whole year last year. And that was the most I ever made for a year on YouTube. So I ain't making a lot of money doing this on YouTube. All right. Hopefully it'll pick up and it'll catch on and I'll be rewarded for my hard work. But I'm giving out some of the most incredible knowledge here. And it's taken me 30 plus years to uncover because I need to share it with the world. It's for the collective. It's stuff that we need. It's stuff that we need desperately to remember because we've uncovered this before. We created this language before, right? And this is a language that is describes how the universe works, how light is transported throughout the universe, how we go on a cosmic conveyor belt and travel. And we have some of the most incredible knowledge within the Rig Veda, right? The oldest book on our planet. Although we don't have copies that are the oldest on our planet, it's orally, it's the oldest on our planet. And I actually made a discovery that I said 3 or 4 years ago, or maybe even more now, that researchers didn't, I mean, science and plasma physics didn't confirm until 2025. And they actually say, if you look it up on Google or something, it said researchers led plasma physicists to physically to take a look at this and decided that it was true. It wasn't researchers, it was me, right? So I don't know if you guys remember my what I did, but about 5 maybe years ago or more now, probably, I discussed how the electron-driven course on our planet, especially with the story of you know the call of the cuckoo's call, and how even with Kalanish, heralded by the cuckoo's call, the shining one comes on midsummer night, heralded by the cuckoo's call. And I brought up how many years ago now, how the electron-driven chorus around our planet sounds like birds chirping, and how right before dawn, the birds seem to be mimicking this electron-driven chorus, and how it's most likely broadcasting for the plants, the cells, the stomata plants to open for the cells to open up, right? And for for the light, the music from the sun to come on in, and how birds are repeating these electron chorus waves. And it didn't. I said this like 5 years ago, and it not until early 2025 did science confirm this, right? And I didn't get the credit, right? They just said researchers. Like, I looked it up online. It said in early 2025, researchers confirmed that chorus waves, electromagnetic perturbations in the magnetosphere, sound strikingly like birds chirping when converted to audio. Then it said this has led scientists to officially refer to the phenomenon as birdsong at dawn or chorus waves. So NASA's magnetospheric multi-scale mission in 2025 detected these chirping waves going back as far as 100,000 miles from Earth, a distance where they were previously thought to be impossible. I had discussed this 5 years before NASA's magnetospheric multi-scale mission. And it's a fact. You could go on my YouTube right here and look in my videos and go back 3 or 4 years. I talk about the electron chorus of dawn. I li I literally have videos titled on YouTube here from 3 or 4 years ago, the electron chorus of dawn, and how it sounds like woodpeckers and cuckoo birds, and how they're talking about it in mythology. I found it in mythology. And literally in Greek, there's a Greek poem that's called Nephalakagia, like the Nephilim, Nephalakagia. And they hire these cosmic birds, the woodpecker, the hoopoo bird, and the cuckoo, to build a cosmic wall around Earth, the magnetosphere, where these electron-driven cores comes from, right? They were talking about it, so I didn't discover this. I just rediscovered it, right? They were talking about this thousands of years ago, even in the Rig Veda. You could go to the Rig Veda 1, verse 25.7. It states that Varuna knows the stations of the birds who flies through the atmospheres and the heavens. That's incredible, right? That's incredible. This aligns with the station or the specific region in our magnetosphere where these electron driven chorus waves are generated and they accelerate these killer electrons. All right. Even Varuna is described as a divine ship and solar waters. The description of Varuna as an ocean going ship, a secret ocean that provides, this powerful flow of energy, right? He digs a path for the sun with his with his with his lines of force. I mean, that's incredible. That's describing the magnetic field lines that dig a path for the sun. I mean, it's pretty simple. Pretty incredible. He knows the knowledge of the wind. He knows the path of the sun, right? There's a verse that talks about Varuna, how he knows the spreading high and mighty wind, right? It's all about that. It's all about that. And Varuna in the Rig Veda 1:25-7, he knows the station of the birds who fly through the atmospheres and the heavens. And that's the electron driven chorus that's in the plasma waves, which sounds like birdsong. And the ocean ships, they're metaphorically talking about, the shape of the magnetosphere by the solar wind. And it's very creative. He's a secret ocean. That's because you can't see it. It's an ocean that you can't see coming from the sun. And Varuna is a solar waters deity. And they talk about his secret ocean. And he digs a path for the sun with the lines of force. It's incredible. 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 Who else is going on tonight with the vernal equinox? The living light hitting our planet. Aldebaran is the watcher of the vernal equinox. We talked about this at the beginning of the show. Aldebaran is a powerful star. Powerful star. Who's with me tonight? No super chats. Thought you guys were gonna hit me up tonight. But if you guys want to do a super chats, we could do giveaways as well tonight. But I'm about to go in a few minutes, so you guys definitely go to the mysticalspiralstore.com. We got a $10 discount coupon up if you guys want it. And you can also use typical skeptic 12. Wow. No doubt, Claudette. I feel like staying live longer, but I think we've been live a long time already. I feel like I've been live for like 2 hours already. But we can, I could talk all night. I could do a show all night. We got 29 likes. Let's get one more like for 30 likes. Hey, we got 29 likes right now. Let's get one more. We get 30 likes even. Don't forget to subscribe, everybody, as well. Exclusive information right here. And you can also there's a spot if you go to your mobile phones, there's a spot where the live chat is. You scroll over, you can hype the video. That really helps. Wow, somebody's like doing something loud outside. It's 10 o'clock at night. Holy shit. I just heard something like turn on really loud. But if you guys go, there's a spot to hype the video. That helps. And definitely help hype my videos, everybody. Thank you for coming. If I can't sleep, I might go live in a little while again. We'll see what happens. But thank you so much. Be safe out there. Go to the mysticalspiralstore.com and I'll hook you guys up with a free gift package on every order. Mention Space Water Podcast, and I'll give you a free Herkimer Diamond with your order. 30 likes. Thank you so much. And Spiral out.